What is up, guys? It is the Bluebloods here coming at y'all with another episode of the 2 Minute Drill. Tuesday, April 20th, man. It's a great day here on the Bluebloods, man. As I said last episode, make sure to go check out Undrafted Sports. You can follow them at Undrafted Media on Twitter, and the website is undraftedsports.com. You can find all the links to our podcast, our YouTube feed, our RSS feed, all that good stuff. So make sure to go check that out. But let's get into the episode, man. We got two great topics today. We're still covering some spring football, and we're finally getting to – we're late. I feel like we are so late on this for a college football podcast, but we had so much other stuff to talk about. We got to get to the NCAA approving a new one-time transfer rule. Me and Brandon have been talking about this for a while, about that it's going to come. It was eventually going to come to a head. They approved this long-awaited rule. This means that a player across all 5 revenue-generating sports is offered one free transfer in their career without being punished by having to sit out a year. So previously, all other athletes, other than graduate transfers, had to use a year of eligibility to sit out if they switch schools, transfer to a new university or something like that. And it's been debated for the past few years, especially after the popularity of the transfer portal has just exploded in college football. It's risen year after year, and there are more and more kids testing out the rule. And Brandon, not everyone's excited about the rule, but before I cover some of the negatives that people have pointed out about this rule, what is your take? Are you happy about this rule? Why are you happy about this rule? And what do you think it means for college football?
I mean, how does this not make college football better as a whole? Is my take on it. You have these kids who go into programs who, maybe you're a 5-star recruit, you go into a program, you're promised you're going to start from day one. What happened? I mean, you end up sitting behind somebody for a year. The next year comes, maybe another 5-star commits, and you get beaten out by him. What are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to sit on the bench for the rest of your eligibility? No, you're going to go ahead and transfer. But you're wasting away your time sitting at the school where you cannot prove yourself to make it to the next level. Go ahead. I love this rule because it allows the kids to go ahead and transfer, play immediately, not use up all this eligibility, not sit in college for 6 years to try to play football. I mean, you come in highly touted, you get beaten out at your first school, go play at a lower level, show people what you truly have. I hear the negatives, and Zach, you're about to touch on those again. But man, in my opinion, the positives of this new ruling far, far outweigh the negatives.
I completely agree with you, man. I went on the Crowded booth with Bryce Kuhn, man. Shout out to them. Go check out the Crowded booth. We kind of talked about it for 5-10 minutes on there. And my biggest thing, I mean, they cover Atlanta sports. Brandon, is there any what happens when a coach leaves and that scheme changes? This is like one argument that I don't think anyone's ever really addressed or talked about. Brandon, if a coach leaves, everything changes. Brian Harsin doesn't run the same scheme as Gus Malzahn did. Coach O doesn't run the same scheme that Les Miles did. Clearly, that's why Les Miles only could run up the middle. But scheme changes are so big. So what if a player fits into a scheme and now they don't? I mean, you look at Georgia Tech, Brandon. That is the best example for me in the whole world. After they move on from the triple option, how many kids were on that roster and weren't sure where they were going to fit into the new system? I mean, for me, that's the biggest thing is now it allows kids that with extenuating circumstances outside of their control to get that one free transfer. Now, I agree somewhat with one criticism I'll get to in a minute, but another thing is homesickness. If a family member is sick, everything like that, I want to see if they can make an exception for that, Brandon. If something like a family member being sick, like you saw the thing with Luke Deal where he ended up not getting approved to go home and his family member was dying, that is terrible. And I think there should be an exemption for that where he doesn't have to use the new one-time free transfer. I mean, in your opinion, do you think there should be exceptions where if a family member is sick or something outside their circumstances come, do you think it should be okay for them to still have that free transfer in that case?
I think so. I think that's something, and we touched on it before, man. I think it's absolutely disgusting the way the NCAA handled that entire situation. I mean, you have to be kidding me, right? I don't know. That's kind of a sore subject here. I think they handled that very, very poorly. And yeah, I absolutely think I think that he in this exact situation should have the one more free transfer, or I guess he still has his because he never got his free transfer. He should have a
Yeah.
free transfer. He should have had two. But I get what you're saying. Like you move back home, maybe things get better, and then you want to go back to school. You want to go back to where you were. You want to go back to another place. Maybe you don't want to go to college where you grew up. Fine, go ahead and use your one more transfer. I think that's a great. I agree with you 100%. I think that should definitely be allowed.
Yeah, and so let's get to some of the people who've been critical, Brandon. We know while you were gone, I covered Lincoln Riley and the Chandler Morris situation where Lincoln Riley is blocking his transfer to TCU after he, did not win the quarterback battle. And it's funny, your favorite guy, Brandon, your favorite coach of college football, Dan Mullen, was critical of it this week. And pointed to players like Kyle Trask, Kyle Pitts as late bloomers who may have transferred and never, got their chance to play on the biggest level at Florida. That if this rule was here, Kyle Pitts and Kyle Trask would have went elsewhere and never had a chance to shine. And he thinks that players aren't going to stick it out, face that adversity, and find their time down the road. And he also pointed to the uncertainties surrounding college football's future and how this rule can be a detriment to that. Now, I want to say this, guys. I'm not taking a side yet. I'm just going to say this, and Brandon can go off of this. Oklahoma and Florida are the two biggest winners, Brandon, of this rule being approved because now Florida gets Demarcus Bowman, 5-star running back from Clemson, immediately eligible. They get 4-star defensive tackle DeJuan Newkirk from Auburn, immediately eligible. Oklahoma, now they get Eric Gray from Tennessee, immediately available. Wanaya Morris from Tennessee, immediately eligible. So the two coaches that have been most outspoken about this, Brandon, benefit from this the most. So what is your take on what Mullen said here?
I think it's stupid. I think everything he does is stupid. Honestly, I cannot stand Dan Mullen. And everybody who watches this show knows that. But good Lord, dude, what do you mean Kyle Trask is a late bloomer who would have never been able to show? Dude, if Felipe Franks never got hurt, he would have been sitting on the bench and he wouldn't be drafted this year. That's not because he didn't transfer, dude. If he would have transferred somewhere else, he probably would have gotten the chance. He probably would have gotten the starting job immediately. But no, he was at Florida sitting behind Felipe Franks, who Dan Mullen thought was better than Kyle Trask. So that's a coaching fault. But like I said, the only reason he got to play was because of an injury. Am I wrong?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I mean you're not. You're not wrong. You're 100% right because if Felipe Franks doesn't get hurt and ends up transferring, I mean Kyle Trask had the worst hand dealt. He didn't even get to start in high school, Brandon.
No, and that, I mean, my entire point there is not just to make fun of Dan Mullen, as fun as that can be. My point is to say there are countless players in this country stuck in that number 2 position. I'm talking about guys like, and I'm glad he stayed. I'm talking about guys like Miles Brennan, who it seems like he's been at LSU for a decade, and he finally got his chance to start. He got hurt. Dude, if he would have transferred like after his second year, you don't think he could have started somewhere else? Maybe not. Maybe somewhere in the Power Five, but he probably could have gone down to a Group of 5 school and started immediately, like almost anywhere that he went. So I don't see. I don't know. I don't see the benefit of trapping players where they're at and punishing them if they choose to go to school elsewhere. You don't punish students for transferring schools. They can start immediately. I don't know. To me, it's been the most ignorant rule in college football or in college sports in general that if you transfer, there's usually this 1-year period of time where you can't play.
Yeah, but I'll take that though. If I was a student and I got a year off of school, but I got to live on campus and do whatever I wanted, could you imagine? I'd transfer every year, man. I'd be an 8th year student, my guy. But And the other two things, Brandon, that were really big issues, and I could see one, but I think, it's not a real excuse. First, a lot of people are pointing to tampering, Brandon, in which coaches can recruit players, which is against NCAA rules, but it happens. They can recruit certain players at other universities, particularly their rival university, and convince them to transfer if they feel like they're not being utilized or they don't win the starting job. So, like after spring, like let's say TJ Finley doesn't start. I mean, what Texas A&M could come in and say, TJ, man, like we have a scholarship spot for you. You'll get a fair shot at this open QB role. You should come to us and leave LSU. For you, is that a real issue? And if it is, how would you target that?
Oh no, that never happens now. Before this rule, it never happened. It happens all the time. It's inevitable. The only difference now is that they will be able to play immediately, which I still don't see as an issue. Yeah, it sucks, but it happens all the time. I mean, I don't think this 1 year of eligibility was really holding a lot of players back in the first place.
No.
So I don't see this as legit. I mean, I see this more. I see this more as a straw man than anything.
Yeah, and this last one, it cracks me up, Brandon. I want to get your part of the argument. Let me say this: part of the argument I get, and I'll explain why I get it. The other part of the argument just makes me laugh, man. I'm going to clown them for it. They point to roster management, Brandon. They say that with this transfer portal always open, with being immediately eligible, scholarship numbers are in flux so much that it's really hard to pin down what scholarships you can offer players. So it can affect how teams can recruit high school players, and it puts an extra burden on head coaches. Now, let me start with what I agree with. Brandon, it will affect how they can recruit high school players because they may not have a scholarship or two available. And let's say a school, Brandon, he probably is going back to LSU. But let's say, Eric Gilbert comes knocking on your door. Are you going to let Eric Gilbert in with the scholarship, or are you going to go recruit that 4-star tight end that you're not sure is going to completely pan out and recruit yet?
No, I'm going to take Eric Gilbert every single day.
Exactly. So I get that point, Brandon. There will be some students who are affected by that, but I don't think it's going to be a majority. So I think it's kind of a moot point as of right now. And if there's a good transfer that comes along and you feel like he's better than the high school player will have a chance to go somewhere else. And I get that. That's fine. But to say now the burden is too much, I just want to say this. I'm not going to dox anybody, but Brandon, do you make $5 million to do your job?
I don't.
How many things feel burdensome to you in terms of what you have to do on the daily?
A few, it's a job.
Exactly. Shut up. I don't even want to hear it. You make $11 million a year and you can't do a little bit of addition and subtraction. I don't want to hear it. I have little brothers who are not even teenagers yet that can add and subtract to 55.
It's
nauseating.
This is almost a worse argument than the last one. The last one is ridiculous. Let's get that out of the way. That's tampering. That's been a rule. This is so stupid. Do your job. This has always been the case. Just do your job. No one struggled with it in the past. What's the big deal?
Listen, guys. We're talking about launching a Patreon later on this year. If you subscribe to our Patreon, we will donate a calculator to every single Power 5 university in the country so they can add to 50. What is it? How many scholarships, right? Is it 56?
55 or 56. I can't remember.
It's in the 50s. I will donate a calculator to every Power 5. If you subscribe, we will donate a calculator to your favorite team so we can make sure they can manage their scholarships appropriately. Give me a damn break. I am so over this. I am so over this topic. I am so over this argument. You can't manage your roster. Don't even give me that. I just can't, man. Listen, I'm going to move on before, we get too far in the weeds. We're just going to name this episode Edition. But, Brandon, we had a surprise live stream for all our listeners out there, man. We covered Georgia, LSU, Alabama, Auburn spring game. We had another big one this weekend I wanted to cover, and that was Ohio State. Guys, we broke down the quarterback battle. You got CJ Stroud, Kyle McCord, Jack Miller. I told you it's going to come down to Stroud and McCord. It looks like it still is. I said Stroud had a bit of an edge. It looks like he still might. They both played really well. And there's a lot of turnover at Ohio State. They're trying to get back to the national title. They have a lot of talent coming back on that team. But Brandon, for this spring game, what were you looking forward to most? And did you get any answers about the future of like this quarterback battle, wide receiving room, or defense?
Well, what I'll say, Zach, is that the number one thing I was looking forward to was watching Jack Sawyer play. And good God, he delivered, huh? But he had 3 sacks and a forced fumble.
Yeah.
This kid is a monster. If anyone doubted him, if anyone doubted, I don't know if anyone did. Zach, do you know of anyone who doubted Jack Sawyer? I don't.
Well, given that he was the number one ranked prospect in the country
Right.
by ESPN, I don't know about that.
Right. So he definitely delivered. Like you said, the quarterback battle looks. It's going to be a battle. Both of these quarterbacks played really hard. Miller underperformed a decent bit, but he's
Yeah.
a freshman. So I'll cut him a little bit slack. This wide receiving room, man, deep.
It's
Huh?
disgusting. It's disgusting, isn't it?
Like it doesn't make sense. I'm very jealous. I'll be honest. It feels like Chris Olave has been playing for 19 years there. He's like the new. What was the guy from Clemson who was there for
Hunter
decades?
Renfro.
He's Hunter Renfro 2.0. This dude's been there for years.
Oh, I'm hurting. It's sad that like Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, all these guys are so hyped, but man, you go through like this wide receiving list and you get to Marvin Harrison Jr. like 5th. Like that's how stacked this wide receiver. He has 7 catches for 50 yards and a touchdown. I don't know how to say his name. The kid that went for over 100 yards is on there. Smith had 5 catches, 50 yards and a touchdown. Wilson had 85 yards. Olave had 57 and a touchdown. Brandon, I don't think it's a stretch. I know we're an SEC podcast. We're supposed to be pro SEC always. I think I'm going to make a bold prediction here on the podcast. I think this wide receiving room, we look in the future, 4 or 5 years down the line, will rival what Alabama's had the past 2-3 years.
I think so too. It's so hard for them to not when they. And it's not only the talent they have, but I mentioned it already. It's the depth that they have. Like you said, number 5 is Marvin Harrison Jr. I did not know that, but that's incredible.
It's disgusting. Brandon, when I look at their wide receiving roster, we'll have to do like a full breakdown when we preview the season. I see probably 7 to 8 wide receivers that could be first or second round picks.
Yeah, I don't think it's a stretch at all, especially going into the second round a little bit. But even next season, Chris Olave has to be going to the draft at some point. He's gonna be a first round pick.
I feel like someone's gonna draft him this year on accident. They're gonna feel like they have a steal in like the 5th round. They're gonna be like Chris Olave, and they're gonna be like he's not available, and they're gonna be like, huh? Who? What?
Wait, what are the rules there? I feel like you can draft anybody that you want. They just don't have to go.
Oh, so you're set, guys. This is a big development on the 2-minute drill. Me and Brandon might get drafted this year during our live stream.
Very nervous.
Listen, I'm aiming for what's the last pick called again, Mr. Irrelevant? I'm aiming for Mr. Irrelevant. Who can I call to get on the list? I feel like they never develop. So why not just waste a pick on me? Make my dream come true. I don't even know who has the last pick, but let the Bluebloods get picked. Can they get a double pick?
You don't even have to pay me. I'll pay you if you draft me.
Bro, they should do that every year. The highest paying bidder gets to be Mr. Irrelevant every year.
Fair. Look, I would pay for that jersey that has 3 digits on it. Bet.
What is it, 256 or something like that?
256, yep.
That's awesome. But yeah, looking at this wide receiving room, it's crazy. Jack Sawyer, listen, I'm not sure. So Ohio State did it a little bit different than Auburn and Alabama and stuff did. I believe he was going to get some ones, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And he was grown manning them. I'm talking about bullying them. Brandon, I don't know if this is a stretch. He looks like the next coming of the Bosa brothers.
Look, I didn't want to say it, But now that it's out there, I'm not going to disagree with you, Zach. I mean, he looks strong, and Ohio State just really keeps up this legacy of incredible defensive fronts.
It's crazy. And guys, look, the QB battle. Stroud went 16 for 22, 185 and 2 touchdowns. McCord went 12 of 17, 184 and 2 touchdowns. So make of that what you will. I'm not sure. That's almost identical stats. I just think, Brandon, I think Stroud, he just has that little bit of advantage of being in the offense one extra year. And I just everything I've been reading and people I've been talking to have just said he just has that like a hair edge over McCord. But I think McCord is so talented. But the thing I want to watch here, Brandon, the bigger picture for me is, you know who's coming in next year, right?
Yeah, I forgot his name. He has Ewing or whatever. Ewers.
Yeah, Quinn Ewers is coming in. Brandon, what a quarterback battle between C.J. Stroud, Kyle McCord, Quinn Ewers, and Jack Miller.
Look, as an LSU fan, I'm just checking out this Ohio State quarterback room for the next grad transfer, to be completely honest.
Listen, I think Miller's on his way out, Brandon, to be completely honest. I think with this announcement of the rule, I think he understands that he's probably out of this competition. I can see Miller transferring. I don't know where he'll go. I don't have that kind of info right this second. And then I think if Stroud doesn't if Stroud and McCord don't feel secure in their job, one of them could also go. I think you could see a large exodus of quarterback talent from Ohio State because of Ewers. But the other thing is you got to keep Ewers. It is April 20th, and we have a long way to go till early signing day, man. And I promise you there's not a team in the country not knocking on Quinn Ewers' door, trying to see if they could even get him to answer the phone.
I mean, he's already flipped his commitment once. I mean, it's honestly nothing for commits to flip a handful of times. He's from Texas. And I'm sorry to any Ohio State fans out there. I would not be shocked at all if he ended up at a school in Texas or in Oklahoma. So,
hey, LSU right there, man. I'm speaking into existence for you.
On down to bet. Thank you.
Speaking into existence, but guys, we'll keep a bigger eye on Ohio State. Right now, I'm telling you, after the spring game, I was leaning toward picking Northwestern Wisconsin. I want to pick someone other. I wasn't sure if Ohio State was going to be a shoe-in for the Big Ten this year because of all these good teams. Ohio State looks like the odds-on favorite right now in the Big Ten. Brandon, I don't know if you disagree with me or not.
No, I agree 1,000,000%. As long as Ryan Day's there and as long as the talent's coming in, it's going to be Ohio State.
It's going to be Ohio State till the end of time, guys. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but I'm excited, man. This season has so many good teams. We have a whole bunch of spring games coming up this weekend. We got some other guests lined up for our big 12 and 30 days, man. We're going to be covering a lot of stuff. We got some awesome draft corners on the way. And as always, man, we've wrapped up this 2-minute drill. And y'all know, give this a thumbs up, man, on YouTube. Helps us get this content out. Y'all smash that 100 subscriber goal we set. Like I said, we are announcing the 5 winners on our NFL live stream during the first round. So make sure to tune into that. We're going to announce it at the beginning of our live stream, and we're going to get in touch with y'all, make sure we got sizes and everything right. That way we can make sure y'all can rock that merch we send y'all. Man, but keep subscribing. I told y'all we're going to do another one. We hit the 200. We got something bigger and better coming. Y'all are already killing that goal, man. We're like a quarter of the way there just about. So y'all have been the best fans out there, man. But tell all your friends, family, everything about the Blue Bloods, the 2-minute drill. Me and Brandon will be back tomorrow with another 2-minute drill. But for right now, man, we are out.